Radio, BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio. You hear the record spinning, yeah, we reppin' every episode. Unashamed of what he's giving us, we preach it everywhere we go. BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio.
This is the BSAC Radio Show here on Urban Family Talk. Your boy Will, again joined by Courtney Westbrook, Jet Black, and our special guest, Tonic from Cross Movement. We just have a great conversation. I want to move this last part of this hour. We're going to carry on in the second hour, but to put the focus on more of the genre and what's going on right now. And I just want to, let me see if I can find it real quick. If I can find it, I wanted to play a clip. You know, here it is. Now, Tonic, I want you to listen to this clip. It's a short clip, 10 seconds, but I want you to listen and then tell me what you think about it.
We would lead out with the art and let the message catch up. We would lead out with the art and let the message catch up.
Okay.
We would lead out with the art and let the message catch up.
Basically, that's Andy Mineo on the interview, and he's talking about the philosophy that he uses, you know, and not, the thing is to lead out with the art and let the message catch up. Okay. Now, from what we've been talking about, you know, that we can see a clear shift even in, you know, certain philosophies. Not that everybody have to have the same one, but what do you think, you know, is it even acceptable to lead out with art? I just want to ask you that question and let the ministry catch up.
Yeah. Let me just start off by saying I think it's a little difficult, like, and I want to be careful because again, you played a 10-second clip.
Yeah, it's short.
And so, you know, I know we got to be careful about taking certain things out of context, and I don't want to be guilty of that. So just if I'm dealing with, I guess, just the issue of, you know, kind of leading out with the art, it takes me back to what is the art, right?
Okay.
And I think me and Ambassador, I mean, he's doing a PhD right now, Southeastern Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina. He's really going deep on some of these issues. So we get a chance to talk a lot and bust up a lot of different ideas about stuff that we've been studying and talking about. But it brings me back to what is the art, right? So we're talking about hip-hop, right? Okay. And so if hip-hop is the art, and if hip-hop is the tool, I think there's some things that come along with hip-hop, some things that are indigenous to hip-hop, especially for the MC, that make it difficult when you start saying, well, what does somebody mean when they say lead with the art, right? Because I think when you go back to the beginning of hip-hop, and even for a lot of folks who did message music in hip-hop, and even for those who found themselves in what they would say, I'm just, you know, doing me. Hip-hop was always this vehicle for the MC that, like I said earlier today, it was about whatever the abundance of your heart was, it would come out, right?
Okay.
So all the way back to Rakim is not just known as one of the greatest, hip-hop artists of all time. What you also couldn't get away from was Rakim's message coming through in his music. You would never see Rakim necessarily holding back his 5%ism. Right. You wouldn't see him holding back his thoughts and beliefs about certain things. Matter of fact, that's what made hip-hop what it was. Once you got to a certain era over, coming up through the era where it was just a voice of a disenfranchised people, like you get to these groups like Public Enemy, another group that's, arguably people would say one of the greatest, hip-hop artists ever. They had a message of Black power, and you would never catch them holding that back, right? So though they're using this art form, the unwritten rule, Hip-Hop 101 would say, whatever is the abundance of your heart, if it's 5% of it, say it, be about it, put it out front, and let the world kind of have to deal with that. Now, again, for the Christian, it doesn't mean, I heard somebody say, we don't want to be obnoxious, we don't want to, and amen, I amen that. But at the same time, I don't think it means, especially in hip-hop, that you necessarily pull back on it. And this is my last point on this. Y'all can, ask me something clarifying if need be. But the other thing I'm noticing is, and this, I think this came out in that Murs interview recently that kind of hit the web. And I thought that was very interesting coming from somebody who claimed to not even be a believer.
Right.
And he was making the point that, hey, listen, why wouldn't you, if you, claim to be why wouldn't, what's on your heart be kind of front and center? Mm-hmm. And it's this idea. He said it. He was talking about authenticity. I hear a lot of people in Christian hip-hop talking about, I'm being authentic to the art. But the truth is, if you're being authentic, I believe, to, my view, if you're being authentic to the art, then it's impossible to probably, kind of pull back on some of the stuff that really should be and is, from a lot of our confession, front and center in our lives. And so, that one I struggle with a lot because I'm just like, man, how is that true? That makes it difficult for me biblically. But then if we're just dealing with people who say, okay, I'm just about this artistry. I want to be the best artist I can be. So if you're talking about hip hop, that makes it even crazier because nobody does that. Like nobody's ever done that. Like you'll never see. I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody with like what was the main thing about them, what they were doing, whether it was Biggie, Tupac. I mean, if it was about materialism, if it was about gunplay, nobody holds back. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of makes hip hop what it is, and people kind of love that when you're unapologetic and you stand for what you stand for. So
BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio, BSAC Radio, BSAC.